In the heart of the Northern Rockies lies one of Earth's most magnificent wildlife sanctuaries. This is a land where survival is earned through cunningness, strength, and adaptation. Each season brings its own trials, its own rewards, and its own cast of remarkable survivors. The glaciers that gave this place its name are like ancient timekeepers. They don't measure time by hours or days, but by decades and centuries, slowly melting and changing the land as the years pass. Yet the rhythm they set pulses through every living thing. As winter's iron grip gives way to spring's tentative touch, as summer's warmth awakens hidden valleys, and autumn's chill sends warning signals through forest and meadow, we witness one of nature's most profound truths. That survival is not merely about enduring harsh conditions, but about thriving within them, finding opportunity in adversity, and discovering that the greatest challenges often produce the most extraordinary adaptations. Welcome to Glacier National Park, where every season tells a story of survival, adaptation, and the endless dance between predator and prey across one of the world's most breathtaking stages. When temperatures plummet to 40 degrees below zero and snow accumulates in drifts measuring 20 feet deep, this landscape becomes an arena where only the supremely adapted can survive. Food sources vanish beneath impenetrable snow, forcing animals to rely on cached supplies, stored body fat, or increasingly desperate hunting strategies. The confrontations that unfold here are shaped by scarcity and desperation. It is in this harsh but magnificent setting that our first winter survivors reveal their remarkable adaptations. Moving through this frozen landscape with the fluid grace of a creature perfectly designed for these conditions, the mountain lion emerges as winter's most efficient predator. Unlike bears that surrender to sleep, or wolves that must hunt in coordinated packs, the mountain lion faces winter as a solitary hunter, relying on stealth, patience, and explosive power to secure meals that might sustain it for days. A shadow moves across the snow-covered slope, so fluid and purposeful, it seems almost supernatural. The mountain lion pauses, golden eyes scanning the valley below where a small herd of white-tailed deer picks nervously through wind-blown patches of exposed grass. The female mountain lion has been hunting this territory for days without success. Her last substantial meal sustained her for nearly a week, but winter's metabolic demands are relentless. Unlike her summer hunts where prey is abundant and hunting opportunities frequent, winter forces her into a more calculated, patient approach. She cannot afford failed attempts. Each unsuccessful hunt drains precious energy reserves that may be impossible to replenish. The wind shifts, carrying her scent away from the deer below. This is the moment she has been waiting for. Mountain lions are ambush predators, capable of explosive acceleration that can cover 40 feet in a single bound, but success depends entirely on getting within striking distance undetected. Winter hunting requires different strategies than summer stalking. The deer below are more alert, their survival instincts sharpened by months of constant threat. They position themselves with escape routes in mind, never feeding in areas where snow depth might impede their flight. The mountain lion must account for these behavioral changes, approaching from angles that cut off retreat paths while remaining invisible against the monochrome backdrop. 20 yards from her target, she freezes. A young buck has lifted his head, nostrils flaring as he tests the air. For 30 seconds, predator and prey remain motionless, locked in a deadly game of perception and concealment. The buck's survival depends on detecting danger before it strikes. The mountain lion's depends on remaining undetected until the critical moment when detection becomes irrelevant. The buck lowers his head to feed, and death moves again. The mountain lion's approach utilizes every available piece of cover: a fallen log, a cluster of snow-laden evergreens, a slight depression in the terrain. Her breathing becomes barely perceptible, her heartbeat controlled through millennia of evolutionary fine-tuning. She is no longer just a predator. She has become the embodiment of winter itself, silent and inevitable. At 8 yards, she gathers herself for the killing leap. Her hind legs compress like coiled springs, claws extending to grip the frozen earth beneath the snow. The deer, perhaps sensing some primal shift in the atmosphere, begins to raise his head again, but physics has already taken control. The mountain lion launches herself through the air, covering the distance in less than 2 seconds, her trajectory calculated with the precision of a guided missile. The impact drives both animals into the snow. The deer's startled bleat cut short by powerful jaws that clamp down on his neck with crushing force. The mountain lion's killing bite is not a slash or tear, but a precision strike that severs the spinal cord or crushes the windpipe, ensuring a quick death that preserves the quality of meat she desperately needs. Her powerful forelimbs wrap around her prey, claws anchoring deep into hide and muscle, preventing any possibility of escape. Within moments, the struggle is over. The mountain lion rises from the snow, her golden coat now dusted with white, breath steaming in the frigid air as she surveys her surroundings for potential competitors. Wolverines, in particular, pose a serious threat to cached kills, their fearless nature and incredible strength making them capable of driving even mountain lions from their meals. She begins the laborious process of dragging her kill to a more secure location. Mountain lions are capable of moving prey several times their own weight over considerable distances. Their shoulder and neck musculature evolved specifically for this purpose. She selects a site beneath a dense cluster of fir trees, where the overhead canopy has trapped snow in thick layers, creating a natural refrigerator that will preserve her meal for up to 2 weeks. The feeding process is methodical and efficient. Mountain lions consume their prey in a specific pattern, beginning with the nutrient-rich organs before systematically consuming muscle tissue. They are capable of eating up to 15 pounds of meat in a single feeding session, their expandable stomachs allowing them to capitalize on successful hunts by consuming as much as possible before competitors arrive. After feeding, she carefully covers the remaining carcass with snow, branches, and debris, creating a cache that she will defend and return to over the following days. This behavior, unique among North American cats, allows mountain lions to maximize the benefit of each successful hunt during winter's lean months. The cache site will become the center of her territory for the next week, a resource she will guard jealously against all challengers. As evening approaches and temperatures begin their nightly plunge toward the -20 mark, the mountain lion settles into a shallow depression she has created in the snow near her kill. Her thick winter coat, which has grown to nearly twice its summer density, provides insulation equivalent to the finest Arctic gear. The longer guard hairs shed moisture and snow, while the dense undercoat traps warm air close to her skin. Her success today ensures survival for another week, but winter in Glacier National Park is far from over. Soon, the challenge of securing another kill will drive her back into the endless hunt that defines winter existence for one of North America's most magnificent predators. With the mountain lion settled into her temporary territory around her fresh kill, the park's frozen landscape continues to test other remarkable survivors. Spring arrives in Glacier National Park, not as a gentle transition, but as a revolution. The first warm winds from the Pacific carry more than just relief from winter's grip. They bring the promise of transformation so complete that the landscape becomes almost unrecognizable from its winter incarnation. This is a season of dramatic contrasts and constant change. While valley floors begin to show patches of brown earth for the first time in months, the high peaks remain locked in winter's embrace, their snow-covered faces serving as reminders that the season's victory is neither complete nor permanent. Water dominates the spring landscape in ways that transform basic survival strategies. Streams that were frozen solid just weeks earlier now rage with snowmelt carrying the accumulated precipitation of entire mountain ranges toward distant oceans. These torrents carve new channels, flood established territories, and create barriers that force animals to adapt their movement patterns. It is against this backdrop of rapid change and renewal that spring's animal communities emerge from winter's challenges. each species facing unique opportunities and obstacles as they navigate the transition from survival to reproduction. Among the most dramatic of these spring transformations is the emergence of one of North America's most powerful predators from months of winter dormancy. Deep within a den excavated beneath the roots of an ancient whitebark pine, a force of nature stirs from winter's deepest sleep. The massive form shifts slightly, sending cascades of loose earth from the den's ceiling, as muscles that have remained inactive for 6 months begin to respond to signals from a brain slowly emerging from hibernation's profound unconsciousness. This is the grizzly bear's resurrection, one of spring's most magnificent and potentially dangerous spectacles. The adult male grizzly's emergence from his winter den is a process that unfolds over several days, his body and mind gradually adapting to consciousness after months of near-death dormancy. At nearly 800 pounds, he represents one of North America's largest land predators. But winter has extracted its toll. His massive frame has lost nearly 30% of its pre-hibernation weight, muscle mass reduced while fat reserves have been systematically metabolized to maintain vital functions during his long sleep. The scents that greet his awakening consciousness tell the story of spring's arrival. Through the den entrance, still partially blocked by snow, comes the unmistakable aroma of warming earth, running water, and the first tentative growth of new vegetation. His sense of smell, 20 times more sensitive than a human's, even when dulled by months of disuse, begins to catalog the changes that have occurred during his absence from the waking world. The world that greets him is vastly different from the one he left behind in November. Snow still blankets much of the landscape, but patches of brown earth show through in sun-exposed areas, and the sound of running water provides a constant background chorus. The creek that was frozen solid when he entered hibernation now flows with urgency, its banks lined with willows showing the first hint of green buds. His first priority is water. Months without fluid intake have left him moderately dehydrated, and his body craves the simple pleasure of cold, clean mountain water. He moves toward the creek with a rolling gait that seems almost casual but covers ground with surprising speed. Each step demonstrates the careful balance of power and control that makes grizzlies such formidable predators despite their seemingly lumbering appearance. At the creek's edge, he drinks deeply, his broad tongue lapping water with obvious satisfaction. The cold liquid shocks his system fully awake, and for the first time since emerging, he appears truly alert and aware of his surroundings. His ears, small and rounded compared to his massive head, swivel constantly as he monitors for potential threats or opportunities. Hunger follows thirst, but spring foraging presents challenges unknown during autumn's abundance. The grasses and sedges that will provide bulk nutrition later in the season are barely beginning to emerge from winter's grip. Carrion, always an important food source for bears, becomes crucial during these lean weeks following emergence. His powerful nose leads him to investigate every scent trail that might indicate winter-killed animals. His search takes him along the valley floor where snow depths have been reduced by recent warm weather. Here he encounters the first signs of winter's casualties, the remains of elk and deer that succumbed to harsh conditions or predation during the months of his sleep. His powerful jaws and teeth are perfectly adapted for processing carrion, capable of crushing bones that would challenge most other predators. The feeding process is thorough and methodical. Grizzlies are omnivores with Catholic tastes, and nothing edible is wasted during spring's lean period. His powerful claws, each one longer than a human finger and backed by enormous shoulder muscles, can tear through hide and frozen flesh with ease. The distinctive dished face profile that characterizes grizzlies provides space for massive jaw muscles that generate crushing power, exceeding that of much larger predators. As he feeds, his behavior demonstrates the alertness that has kept his species alive in landscapes shared with human activity. Every few minutes, he raises his head to scan his surroundings, nostrils flaring as he tests for approaching threats. Grizzlies, despite their fearsome reputation, are naturally wary animals that prefer to avoid confrontation when possible. Their aggression typically manifests only when surprised, defending food sources, or protecting cubs. His territorial awareness intensifies as he encounters scent marks left by other bears during winter. The park supports a population of several dozen grizzlies, and territories often overlap in areas with rich food sources. Spring emergence triggers a period of social negotiation as bears re-establish dominance hierarchies and territorial boundaries that may have shifted during the winter months. After several hours of feeding, he demonstrates another crucial aspect of grizzly behavior: the afternoon rest period. Despite popular misconceptions about constant activity, grizzlies spend significant portions of their day resting, conserving energy for the intensive foraging required to rebuild body condition lost during hibernation. He selects a daybed in a sunny depression protected by surrounding vegetation, his massive form creating a significant depression in the warming earth. His rest is not true sleep, but rather a state of relaxed awareness, senses remaining alert to his environment while his body processes the substantial meal he has consumed. This period of digestion and energy conservation is crucial for bears emerging from hibernation, their digestive system slowly returning to full function after months of dormancy. As afternoon progresses toward evening, he resumes his wandering, following scent trails and investigating potential food sources with single-minded determination. His route takes him across terrain that reveals spring's power to reshape the landscape. Avalanche debris blocks familiar travel routes, while new streams carve channels through areas that were solid ground just weeks earlier. The grizzly's adaptability becomes evident as he navigates these changed conditions. His powerful build and broad paws allow him to traverse terrain that would challenge smaller predators, while his intelligence enables him to quickly assess new routes and opportunities. This combination of physical capability and cognitive flexibility has allowed grizzlies to thrive in diverse environments from coastal salmon streams to high alpine meadows. Along McDonald Creek, where winter ice has retreated to reveal pools of crystal clear water reflecting the surrounding peaks, a sleek form glides through the current with fluid grace that seems to defy the laws of physics. The river otter surfaces near a partially submerged log, whiskers twitching as she assesses the spring awakening occurring throughout her aquatic domain. Her territory, stretching for miles along the creek system, has been transformed by spring's arrival from a frozen corridor into a highway of opportunity. The female otter's emergence into spring coincides with one of her species' most remarkable adaptations: the synchronized birth of cubs that were conceived nearly a year earlier. River otters employ delayed implantation, allowing them to time births precisely with optimal environmental conditions. Her 3 cubs, born in a den excavated in the creek bank, represent the culmination of evolutionary timing that ensures their arrival when food sources are becoming abundant and water temperatures are beginning to moderate. Her streamlined body, perfectly evolved for aquatic life, demonstrates adaptations that border on the miraculous. Dense fur containing nearly 1 million hairs per square inch traps air so effectively that her skin remains completely dry even during extended underwater hunts. Her webbed feet function as natural flippers, while her muscular tail serves as both rudder and propulsion system, allowing her to execute turns and maneuvers that would challenge the most advanced submarine. "20 feet below the surface, she locates a school of cutthroat trout that have moved into the shallows to feed on aquatic insects emerging with spring's warming temperatures. Her hunting technique is a masterpiece of underwater predation. She approaches from below and behind, using her powerful tail for propulsion, while her front paws remain tucked against her body to reduce drag. Her large lung capacity allows her to remain submerged for up to 4 minutes, providing ample time to select and capture her prey. The strike is lightning fast and precise. Her jaws clamp down on a 2-pound trout with teeth perfectly adapted for gripping slippery prey. Unlike many aquatic predators that must surface immediately after capturing food, otters can manipulate and position their catch underwater, ensuring a secure grip before returning to the surface. She emerges near the creek bank, her prize held firmly as she swims toward a favorite feeding spot. Her dining behavior reveals another fascinating aspect of otter ecology. She positions herself on her back in the shallow water, using her chest as a dining table while her powerful tail keeps her anchored against the current. The feeding process is methodical and efficient, beginning with the head and working systematically through the entire fish. Her sharp teeth are capable of processing bones and scales that would be inedible to many other predators. Her feeding complete, she begins a series of behaviors that demonstrate why otters are considered among the most intelligent members of the weasel family. She rolls and twists in the water, using the current and her own movements to clean her dense fur. This grooming process is not mere vanity but essential maintenance of the air-trapping properties that keep her warm in near-freezing water. The grooming session transitions into what can only be described as play. She slides down a muddy bank into the creek with obvious enjoyment, surfacing with what appears to be a smile before repeating the process. This playful behavior serves important purposes beyond simple entertainment. The sliding action helps distribute natural oils through her fur, while the physical activity maintains the muscle tone essential for effective hunting. Her territory includes several such sliding areas, worn smooth by generations of otters engaging in the same behavior. These otter slides serve as both transportation routes and social gathering places, where multiple individuals may interact during the brief periods when their normally solitary lifestyle overlaps. The slides also function as scent marking stations where otters leave chemical messages about their identity, reproductive status, and territorial claims. As afternoon approaches, maternal instincts call her back toward the den where her cubs wait. The den entrance, located below the waterline but opening into an air-filled chamber above the high water mark, represents sophisticated engineering that protects the young from both predators and flooding. High above the valleys where snowmelt creates torrents of rushing water, thermal currents generated by warming Earth carry one of North America's most magnificent raptors as it patrols territories measured in square miles rather than acres. 2,000 feet above the Apgar Mountains, riding thermals that rise from sun-warmed slopes like invisible escalators, a golden eagle surveys her domain with eyes capable of resolving details at distances that would challenge high-powered binoculars. Her 7-foot wingspan catches the morning light, each feather positioned with aerodynamic precision that allows her to soar for hours without a single wing beat. This is the realm of North America's most powerful raptor, where patience and perfect timing combine to create one of nature's most efficient killing machines. The adult female, larger and more powerful than her mate, has spent the winter months patrolling territories that extend across dozens of square miles. Golden eagles are not true migrants in the traditional sense. Instead, they follow food sources and favorable weather conditions across vast landscapes, their incredible flying abilities allowing them to cover hundreds of miles in search of optimal hunting conditions. Spring's arrival brings the opportunity to establish breeding territories and begin the complex courtship rituals that will determine this year's reproductive success. Her flight pattern reveals the sophisticated hunting strategy that makes golden eagles apex predators, despite sharing the skies with other powerful raptors. She flies in wide, sweeping circles that systematically cover every square foot of territory below. Her remarkable eyesight capable of detecting the movement of prey animals from distances exceeding 2 miles. Her eyes, proportionally larger than human eyes relative to skull size, contain nearly 5 times the number of light-detecting cells, providing resolution that borders on the supernatural. Below her, the spring landscape offers abundant opportunities for a predator perfectly adapted to exploit them. Marmot colonies emerging from hibernation in high alpine meadows provide concentrated targets in relatively open terrain. Ground squirrels, active throughout the day as they rebuild energy reserves depleted by winter, expose themselves as they forage in areas with limited overhead cover. Most importantly, the seasonal movements of larger prey species create predictable hunting opportunities in locations where escape options are limited. Her hunting technique combines patience with explosive action in ways that seem almost contradictory. She may circle the same area for hours, her presence often undetected by prey animals below due to her altitude and silent flight. Golden eagles can soar at heights exceeding 10,000 feet, well above the visual range of most prey species, yet still maintain the ability to identify and track individual targets on the ground below. When she identifies suitable prey, the attack sequence demonstrates why golden eagles are considered among the most formidable predators in North America. Her dive, technically called a stoop, can reach speeds exceeding 150 miles per hour as she transforms potential energy gained through altitude into the kinetic energy needed for a killing strike. Her talons, each one longer and stronger than a grizzly bear's claws, are capable of exerting crushing pressure exceeding 700 pounds per square inch. This morning, her attention focuses on a colony of Colombian ground squirrels that have recently emerged from hibernation on a south-facing slope where early snowmelt has exposed patches of grass and sedge. The squirrels, busy with the urgent task of rebuilding body condition lost during their winter sleep, provide ideal targets for an aerial predator. Their predictable behavior patterns and limited escape options make them vulnerable to the split-second timing that characterizes successful eagle hunts. She adjusts her flight pattern to approach from the direction of the rising sun, using the glare to mask her presence until the final moments of her attack. This tactical awareness demonstrates the intelligence that sets golden eagles apart from other raptors. They are capable of learning from failed hunts, adjusting techniques based on prey behavior, and even modifying strategies to account for seasonal changes in target species. The selected squirrel, a large male focused intently on locating cached food supplies hidden before winter's arrival, represents several pounds of high-quality protein that will sustain her for days. Ground squirrels, with their high-fat content accumulated in preparation for hibernation, provide optimal nutrition for eagles during the energy-intensive period of territory establishment and courtship. Her stoop begins from an altitude of 3,000 feet, wings folded back to reduce drag as gravity accelerates her massive frame toward terminal velocity. The physics of her dive create a predator-prey encounter that unfolds in mere seconds but represents the culmination of millions of years of evolutionary refinement. Her body position shifts constantly during the descent, subtle adjustments to wing and tail configuration, maintaining perfect control despite speeds that would challenge military aircraft. At 50 feet above the target, she executes the transition from dive to strike, wings spreading to break her descent, while powerful legs extend forward to position her talons for maximum impact. The precision required for this maneuver is extraordinary. She must account for wind conditions, prey movement, and the precise timing needed to achieve a killing strike without injuring herself in the process. The impact drives both predator and prey to the ground. The squirrel's surprised alarm call cut short by talons that penetrate vital organs with surgical precision. Summer arrives in Glacier National Park like a symphony. Temperatures that struggled to reach freezing just months earlier now soar into the 70s and 80s, triggering an explosion of life that must compress an entire year's worth of growth, reproduction, and preparation into the brief window of favorable conditions that characterizes northern mountain ecosystems. The confrontations that define summer are driven by abundance rather than scarcity, but they are no less intense for the change in circumstances. Territorial disputes are at peak, as animals compete not just for food, but for access to the prime locations where they can maximize reproductive success. Male ungulates engage in spectacular battles for breeding rights, their contests made more dramatic by the peak physical condition that abundant summer forage makes possible. Predator-prey relationships become complex webs of opportunity and vulnerability. Young animals, born during spring's cautious emergence, now venture forth in numbers that provide abundant hunting opportunities for predators while simultaneously overwhelming their ability to exploit every available target. This is the paradox of summer abundance. While food sources become more plentiful, competition for the choicest resources intensifies proportionally. It is against this backdrop of explosive growth and intense activity that summer's wildlife communities reach their annual peak. Among the most magnificent of these is a creature whose mastery of high-altitude environments makes it a symbol of wilderness in its purest form. High above the tree line, where jagged peaks pierce a sky so blue it seems artificial, a magnificent creature moves across terrain that would challenge the most experienced mountain climbers. The massive ram pauses on a ledge barely wide enough for his hooves, his curved horns silhouetted against the alpine sky as he surveys a domain that has remained essentially unchanged since the glaciers carved these valleys thousands of years ago. The adult ram embodies the raw power and grace that has made bighorn sheep icons of North American wilderness. His massive horns, grown continuously throughout his 12 years of life, curl in perfect spirals that speak to both his age and his dominance within the bachelor herd that shares these high alpine meadows. Each horn weighs nearly 30 pounds, their size and symmetry serving as both weapons in combat and displays of genetic fitness that determine social ranking within the complex hierarchy that governs bighorn society. His movement across the steep slope demonstrates the remarkable adaptations that allow bighorn sheep to thrive in terrain where a single misstep could prove fatal. His hooves are masterpieces of evolutionary engineering, hard outer edges providing grip on rock surfaces, while soft, rubbery centers conform to irregularities in stone that are invisible to less specialized eyes. The split hoof design allows independent movement of each side, creating a natural climbing cleat system that provides stability on surfaces approaching vertical. The morning feeding routine reveals the efficiency required for survival at high altitude, where the growing season may last only 10 weeks. He moves systematically across the alpine meadow, selecting the most nutritious portions of grasses and sedges, while avoiding plants that have already begun the senescence process that signals the approaching end of summer's abundance. His browsing pattern reflects generations of accumulated knowledge about which plants provide optimal nutrition at different stages of the growing season. His massive frame, weighing over 300 pounds, requires substantial daily food intake to maintain condition at altitude, where oxygen levels are reduced and energy expenditure increases dramatically. Bighorn sheep have evolved enlarged hearts and lungs to process the thin air effectively, their cardiovascular systems operating at efficiency levels that would challenge human athletes' training at similar elevations. The bachelor herd dynamics visible throughout his morning routine reflect social structures evolved to maximize survival in environments where group vigilance can mean the difference between life and death. While feeding, individual rams position themselves to provide overlapping fields of vision, creating a collective awareness system that can detect threats from any direction. Their eyesight, adapted for long-distance detection of predators and hazards, rivals that of raptors in its ability to resolve details at extreme ranges. A sudden alertness ripples through the herd as keen eyes detect movement on a distant slope. The threat assessment process demonstrates the sophisticated predator recognition systems that have evolved in response to thousands of years of selection pressure from mountain lions, wolves, and grizzly bears. Each potential threat requires different defensive responses, and the ram's behavior indicates they have identified the distant movement as a golden eagle rather than a terrestrial predator. His response to the aerial threat reveals another aspect of bighorn adaptation to high-altitude environments. While adult rams are too large to be vulnerable to eagle predation, their protective instincts extend to the ewes and lambs that share these alpine environments during summer months. The ram positions himself on higher ground, where his massive horns and intimidating presence serve as both warning to the eagle and reassurance to more vulnerable herd members. The social hierarchy within the bachelor herd becomes evident during the midday rest period, when animals seek shade in the limited shelter provided by scattered alpine firs. Position within resting groups, access to the choicest shade, and spacing between individuals all reflect dominance relationships established through years of ritual combat and continuous social negotiation. The ram's position at the group center indicates his status as the dominant individual, a position that provides privileges, but also carries responsibilities for group security. His afternoon activities focus on the salt licks that play crucial roles in bighorn ecology. These natural mineral deposits, often located on exposed cliff faces, provide essential nutrients that are scarce in alpine vegetation. The journey to the salt lick requires navigation across terrain so challenging it seems impassable, but generations of bighorn sheep have worn distinct trails into the rock face, creating highways that are invisible to other species but clearly marked for those who know how to read them. The licking behavior reveals the sophisticated nutritional knowledge that allows bighorn sheep to thrive on diets that would be inadequate for less specialized herbivores. Different mineral deposits provide specific nutrients required for horn growth, bone development, and the metabolic processes that enable survival at high altitude. The ram's selection of particular areas within the salt deposit reflects an understanding of mineral content that approaches the level of a trained nutritionist. His feeding at the salt lick is interrupted by the arrival of a younger ram whose approach represents a challenge to the established hierarchy. The confrontation that follows demonstrates why bighorn rams have evolved the massive horns that define their appearance. The challenge begins with posturing and threat displays designed to resolve conflicts without actual combat. But the younger ram's persistence escalates the encounter toward actual violence. The clash, when it comes, produces a sound like thunder echoing off the surrounding peaks. The two rams back away from each other, lower their heads, and charge at speeds that seem impossible given the terrain and their massive bulk. The impact when their horns meet generates forces that would concuss or kill most mammals, but bighorn rams have evolved specialized skull structures and brain protection systems that allow them to survive collisions equivalent to automobile crashes. The combat continues through several rounds of charging and clashing, each impact reverberating across the alpine landscape like gunshots. The older ram's experience and superior horn development eventually prove decisive, his final charge driving the challenger backward across the rocky slope. The younger ram's retreat reestablishes the social order, but also demonstrates the constant pressure that maintains the fitness levels essential for survival in these demanding environments. Victory confirmed. The dominant ram returns to his feeding, as if the violent encounter were merely a minor interruption in his daily routine. This ability to compartmentalize stress and return immediately to essential activities reflects the psychological adaptations required for life in environments where distraction or hesitation can prove fatal. As afternoon progresses toward evening, he begins the gradual movement toward the protected areas where the herd will spend the night. These bedding sites, selected for their defensive advantages and protection from weather, represent generations of accumulated knowledge about safe locations in terrain where danger can approach from multiple directions simultaneously. While the bighorn ram demonstrates mastery of the park's highest elevations, the middle elevations support a different but equally remarkable survivor. In the dense forests where towering conifers create cathedral-like spaces filled with dappled sunlight, another iconic predator prepares for the reproductive challenges that will determine this year's contribution to the continuation of his species. In the twilight world between day and night, where shadows create a landscape of concealment and revelation, a ghost-like form moves through the subalpine forest with fluid grace that seems to defy detection. The Canada lynx pauses at the edge of a small clearing, her oversized paws distributing her weight so effectively across the forest floor that she leaves virtually no trace of her passage. Summer provides optimal hunting conditions for this specialized predator, whose entire existence revolves around the pursuit of a single prey species. The hunting strategy she employs demonstrates why lynx are considered among North America's most efficient predators, despite their relatively small size. At 40 pounds, she possesses the explosive power and lightning reflexes necessary to capture prey animals whose survival depends entirely on their ability to detect and escape from predators. Her success rate, higher than that of most predators, reflects specialization so extreme they have created a predator-prey relationship unique in North American ecosystems. Her territory, encompassing nearly 20 square miles of mixed forest and subalpine meadows, contains all the habitat requirements necessary to support the snowshoe hare populations that form the foundation of her existence. Lynx territories are not arbitrary boundaries, but carefully selected areas that provide optimal hunting opportunities throughout the seasonal cycles that govern prey availability. This evening's hunt begins with the patient observation that characterizes lynx hunting behavior. She positions herself along a well-used hare trail, her body motionless except for the subtle ear movements that track sounds inaudible to less specialized hunters. Snowshoe hares are creatures of habit, following established routes between feeding areas and shelter sites with predictable timing that experienced lynx learn to exploit. Her camouflage is so effective that she becomes virtually invisible against the forest background. The lynx's coat pattern, with its subtle spots and muted colors, breaks up her outline so completely that even experienced wildlife watchers often fail to detect her presence at close range. This natural invisibility, combined with her ability to remain motionless for hours, creates ambush opportunities that few prey animals can survive. The first sign of approaching prey comes through her remarkable hearing rather than vision. The subtle sounds of hair movement filtering through the forest understory alert her to an opportunity developing along a parallel trail system. Her response demonstrates the split-second decision-making that separates successful predators from those that fail to thrive in competitive environments. She abandons her current position and flows through the forest like liquid shadow, her movement so smooth it seems choreographed. Lynx possess an almost supernatural ability to move through dense vegetation without disturbing a single branch or leaf, their passage marked only by the faintest compression of forest duff beneath their massive paws. Her new position provides an optimal angle of attack for the hunting technique that has made lynx legendary among predators. Rather than pursuing prey through extended chases, lynx rely on explosive bursts of speed that can cover 40 feet in less than 3 seconds. This ambush strategy minimizes energy expenditure while maximizing success rates, essential factors for predators whose prey species undergo dramatic population fluctuations. The snowshoe hare that emerges into the small clearing represents the culmination of hours of patient hunting. The animal moves with the nervous energy characteristic of prey species, pausing frequently to test air currents and scan for threats. Its large hind feet, adapted for travel across snow, provide the speed and agility that have allowed snowshoe hares to survive in landscapes dominated by specialized predators. The distance between predator and prey closes to 15 feet before the lynx reveals her presence. Her attack explodes from concealment with violence that seems impossible from such a compact predator. The hare's alarm call pierces the forest silence as it attempts an escape that would succeed against most predators, but lynx have evolved specifically to counter every evasive maneuver in the hare's repertoire. The chase lasts only seconds, but unfolds with intensity that seems to slow time itself. The hare's erratic course through dense vegetation would confuse most predators, but the lynx's remarkable agility allows her to match every twist and turn. Autumn arrives in Glacier National Park not as summer's gentle decline but as nature's final examination, a season that separates the prepared from the desperate with unforgiving efficiency. This is a season defined by urgency and consequence, where every decision carries the weight of survival through the harsh months ahead. The confrontations that define autumn differ fundamentally from spring's territorial disputes or summer's breeding competitions. Now, the battle is against time itself, as animals race to accumulate the fat reserves, cache the food supplies, and establish the shelter systems that will determine their survival through the brutal months ahead. Feeding becomes frantic, almost desperate, as creatures that spent summer's abundance in leisurely foraging now must maximize every calorie obtained. Migration corridors that remained quiet throughout summer now pulse with activity as species begin their ancient journeys to wintering grounds. The park becomes a critical way station for creatures traveling hundreds or thousands of miles, their timing synchronized with celestial cues that have guided their ancestors for millennia. The success or failure of these migrations will determine population numbers for years to come, making autumn's challenges echo far beyond the coming winter. It is against this backdrop of preparation and transformation that autumn's animal communities face their ultimate test of adaptation. Among the most remarkable of these seasonal adaptations is the preparation undertaken by one of North America's most industrious engineers as it races to complete construction projects that will determine its family's survival through the frozen months ahead. Along Beaver Creek, where summer's gentle flow has carved channels through meadows now brown with dormant sedges, a distinctive tail slap echoes across the water's surface like a gunshot. The sound carries both warning and determination as a massive beaver surfaces near a partially completed dam, his work ethic driven by instincts that recognize autumn's approach as nature's final deadline for winter preparations. The adult male beaver's autumn activities represent one of nature's most impressive examples of seasonal preparation, a construction project that would challenge human engineers equipped with modern machinery. At 60 pounds, he is among North America's largest rodents, his body perfectly adapted for both aquatic life and the demanding physical labor that defines his species' survival strategy. His broad, scaly tail serves as rudder, prop, and communication device, while his powerful hind feet, webbed like a duck's, provide propulsion through water that grows colder with each passing day. His construction site reveals the scope of beaver engineering at its most ambitious. The dam, begun in early summer, when water levels were predictable, now spans nearly 100 feet across the creek valley. The structure's complexity defies simple description. A carefully engineered combination of logs, branches, rocks, and mud that creates a barrier capable of withstanding spring floods while maintaining precise water levels throughout the winter months. His workday begins before dawn, when autumn's early darkness provides cover from predators. and the crisp air makes physical labor more tolerable than under summer's blazing sun. His first task involves inspecting the dam's integrity, his sensitive paws detecting any changes in water pressure or structural stability that occurred during the night. Beavers possess an almost supernatural ability to sense water flow irregularities, responding to leaks or weaknesses that would be invisible to other species. This morning's inspection reveals a significant problem. Recent heavy rains have undermined a section of the dam's foundation, creating a leak that threatens to drain the pond, whose stable water levels are essential for winter survival. The breach allows water to escape at a rate that could lower pond levels below the entrance to his family's lodge, potentially trapping them in their winter quarters or, worse, exposing the entrance to predators. His response demonstrates the problem-solving abilities that make beavers keystone species capable of reshaping entire ecosystems. He begins by gathering suitable repair materials, his selection process revealing an understanding of engineering principles that would impress professional dam builders. Large stones, carefully selected for weight and shape, form the foundation of his repair efforts. These anchor points must be positioned precisely to redirect water flow and provide stable foundations for the organic materials that will complete the seal. The physical demands of his work are extraordinary. Each stone weighs several pounds and must be transported either underwater or across muddy terrain that challenges even his specialized anatomy. His powerful shoulders and chest muscles, overdeveloped compared to most rodents, provide the strength necessary for moving construction materials that other animals his size couldn't budge. His flat tail, pressed against his back during transport, helps maintain balance as he navigates treacherous footing. The log selection process reveals another aspect of beaver intelligence that sets them apart from other ecosystem engineers. He doesn't simply fell the nearest trees. Instead, he chooses specific species based on their properties for different construction purposes. Aspen and cottonwood, with their relatively soft wood and high nutritional value, serve dual purposes as both building materials and winter food storage. Willow branches, more flexible but equally strong, provide the binding elements that hold larger structures together. His tree felling technique represents millions of years of evolutionary refinement. In the months ahead, when snow buries the valleys and ice locks the waterways, these animals will depend entirely on the wisdom and effort they invested during autumn's precious weeks of opportunity. Their survival will stand as testament to the power of instinct, adaptation, and the relentless drive to persist in a world where only the prepared survive winter's absolute rule. In the pristine wilderness of Glacier National Park, the mark of humanity is becoming increasingly visible. In recent years, the park has seen a dramatic rise in the number of visitors, drawn by its towering peaks, glacial lakes, and expansive alpine meadows. While this surge in tourism brings economic benefits to the state and supports conservation funding, it also carries a significant ecological cost. The construction of new roads and trails to accommodate growing crowds contributes to the ongoing destruction of natural habitats. As visitors wander beyond designated paths and campsites, fragile ecosystems face disturbance. The presence of humans not only disrupts the lives of native animals, but also poses risks to the visitors themselves. Pollution adds to the strain. Lakes and streams that once ran clear now face contamination from human waste and litter, threatening aquatic life and water quality. The human footprint extends beyond tourism. Along the eastern edge of the park lies the reservation of the Blackfeet Nation. Deeply connected to this land for generations, the Blackfeet people also play a role in the park's stewardship. In recent years, efforts to explore oil and gas development on reservation lands have raised new concerns. Scientists warn of the potential environmental consequences, such as chemical contamination, habitat loss, and the disruption of wildlife corridors. From the expanding trail systems to the broader forces of industrial development, Glacier National Park stands at a crossroads. The choices made today will shape not only the future of its landscapes and species, but also the legacy left for generations to come. Mesmerized by the amazing wildlife of Glacier National Park? Show your love by giving this video a thumbs up and telling us your favorite animal in the comments. When you share this video, you help raise awareness and support efforts to protect this incredible ecosystem. And don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss a wild adventure from another breathtaking corner of the planet.